What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report. I'm your host, Pablo. And joining me today on a special episode of the Nerd Gen Report is Ozzy from the Nerdy Basement, whom I've been following for quite some time. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. We're going to be discussing the presentation for some of what we'll see happening possibly in Avengers Doomsday. As some of you already may know, they had a presentation in Shanghai. It was a light show, right? Detailing some aspects of what we may be getting with regards to story and Doom's, I guess, presence in the movie. What were your thoughts on what you saw?
I mean, there was a lot to break down. There was a lot to take in. This is our first official look at Doom since he was announced to be played by Robert Downey Jr. at San Diego Comic-Con. So I think it's exciting. It's exciting to see that first look. He looks very comic book accurate, and he looks better than what he did in that post-credit scene that we got at the end of Fantastic Four. So I'm excited about that. A lot of plot details that they kind of tease with that. A lot of speculation that has been rather confirmed with that little light show. So I'm excited. Can't wait to dive into it here. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the look of the armor and his getup. It was very, very comic book accurate, and I think we shouldn't at this point expect any less in terms of what Doom should look like. As we all recall, Kevin said to Robert Downey Jr. when they were conjuring up this idea, let's get Doom right, which was always a bit of a problem for me. So yeah, I think they're following that, I guess, promise to get Doom right, which to me still is what that is still unknown. But I don't know if you've listened to some of the other shows we've done and we've spoken about Doom. My hope is that at the end of this, we still don't know who Doom is, because I was never a fan of Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom. But hopefully it's good. Does it have me excited? A little bit. But I guess again, we'll have to wait and see what they have in store for us, because a lot of the things that we've heard as of late has been a lot of negative news surrounding the Avengers Doomsday film. So they're setting the bar low. Hopefully it
may be
doesn't
on
come
purpose. That may
yes,
be on purpose too.
Yes.
That may be
Hopefully
on
it's not
purpose.
mid, as people call it. Hopefully it exceeds it by a huge margin. And speaking of margin, the MCU is hoping for a huge box office, as expected, and should be quite huge if the movie does what it's supposed to in terms of entertaining the fans and the fandom.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that caught your attention in this light show?
Well, before we get on there is a couple of things I want to kind of expand on that you mentioned, like the box office and the expectations and things of that nature. Getting excited for Doom, like I said, I was excited for Marvel doing whatever they were going to do with Kang first, and then pivoting over to Doctor Doom. That's exciting too. Obviously, that comes with its own set of concerns. I feel like I've expressed that on our show multiple times, especially during our review of Fantastic Four. That post credit stinger with Doctor Doom was a miss in my opinion. Doesn't really do anything for me, especially because there's no lead up for Doctor Doom. Like, he just kind of comes in like out of nowhere and whatever. So I mean, again, this light show, this is our first look at Doom. We see a little bit of what he's doing and what some of those plot details, what his agenda, his mission is, and what his motivations are. So I think that lends to a lot. But to harpen back on the box office thing, I think these next two Avenger movies, just by name recognition alone, Marvel will have a successful box office. I don't think it will be so much about whether the movie is good or not. I think this is like Infinity War and Endgame was one big story arc just split into two movies, so it'll kind of hit the same. You know what I mean? I think in terms of what fans will be expecting with Doom, other than it being Tony Stark, essentially, even though they confirmed this is Victor Von Doom, he just looks like Tony Stark. He's not a variant of any sort and whatever. I think it's just nailing down the character of Doctor Doom. You know what I mean? Because he comes with his reputation precedes him. Whether you're familiar with the comics or not, he has a reputation. Most people, and a lot of people I think can correct me if I'm wrong, most people know who Doctor Doom is, what comes with the presence of Doctor Doom, and what he entails, especially surrounding the Fantastic Four, who we know are going to play an integral role in these next two movies. And for those familiar with Secret Wars, seeing how Doctor Doom is at the center of all that in the 2015 version, I think nailing down those aspects is what will make the movie successful, whether the story itself is not the greatest. Because he's obviously the main star of these two movies, and he will have that Thanos effect. Infinity War and Endgame were Thanos movies. They just featured the Avengers. You know what I mean? They were not Avengers led movies. They were Thanos led movies. So going back to the light show, it kind of shows a little bit of what we'll get with both movies, if not everything in this first Doomsday movie with Doctor Doom. In terms of, there's one little moment in the light show where you kind of see him holding a skeleton, which is a nod to him killing Thanos in the 2015 Secret Wars comic book. So I'm not sure if that's something we'll see in the movie, but I'm hoping we get to see that. Seeing him kind of in a way put together Battleworld too. We kind of get that a little bit in that light show. We get those mirror dimensions, the Watcher's dimension kind of shatters as we've seen in What If. So I feel like that's interesting. Kind of confirms like, yeah, he's gonna go throughout the multiverse. He's gonna be hunting down whoever created these incursions and whoever essentially put in the suit of armor around the world, like Tony Stark said. And what was I think it was Avengers: Age of Ultron, and how also Robert Downey Jr. said when they revealed him as Doctor Doom, same task, new mask. The task, obviously, a suit of armor around the world, or in this case, around the multiverse. So there's a lot. There's a lot that was given away with that light show that I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Maybe there's some sort of teaser trailer coming towards the end of the year, maybe the next few months, early 2026, maybe around Super Bowl time. But I don't know, man. There's a lot to be excited for. This is the most excited I've been for Doomsday.
Really, really.
Period. Period.
Okay, okay. I'm not quite there yet. I still see a circus, but there are definitely some things that piques my interest. Uh, let let me ask you this regarding box office success. What does that look like to you as far as a number?
I can see them doing a billion at the box office for sure.
Would that equal success though, given what they've done in the past?
I think in terms of MCU and given their success with all of their Avenger movies, I think that's a success. Even Deadpool and Wolverine hit grossed over 1 billion, and that necessarily wasn't an Avengers movie, but it kind of fell in line with what we're gonna kind of get with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. You got some incursions, obviously, even though they really didn't dive into those incursions per se. But you're in the void. You're getting these cameos from these other characters from previous Marvel movies that weren't necessarily part of the MCU up until now. You know what I mean? So kind of, I can see them doing a billion for both movies and them counting that as a massive success.
Given what they've done with Infinity War and Endgame and even No Way Home, I think
Hmm.
$1 billion may look like a success. I don't think it will actually, because if you compare Avatar,
Hmm.
that's a guaranteed billion and perhaps surpasses what they've done in the past. And I think for them to at least be, jumping around and popping bottles. I think we need to get up to at least two, given the amount of money that's shelling out for this, right? Because the goal is
Yeah.
not to is not the goal is not to break even. I think at 1 billion, you're probably at that. I think for them, we gotta go above 1.5, at least 2 billion in order for that
Yeah.
excitement at the offices. And for Kevin, you know, not to wonder if he's gonna get let go. You know what I'm saying? Because he
And I don't
has
I don't think he'll get let go despite whatever the box office may be. I feel like he's still, I would say this year alone, granted we got what, 3 Marvel movies, we got Captain America, we got the Thunderbolts, we got Fantastic Four. I would
two out of
say,
three ain't bad.
2 out of 3, you're not striking out, you know what I mean? And yeah, the box office numbers for the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts weren't the greatest per se, but I don't they weren't necessarily bad movies, and I feel like that's probably at the core of what they're kind of focusing on the most, quality over the quantity, essentially, because that's kind of what they've reverted back to. Yeah, every studio wants to make money. Let's not be oblivious and pretend that every studio does not want to make money. For sure, they want to make money. Millions and millions of dollars are getting put in these productions, so of course they want to make that money back. So I don't know. I don't think if Doomsday or Secret Wars does not hit 2 billion, they will consider it a fail per se. Now, given their track record, probably, given how every single Avengers title, like I mentioned earlier, it comes with the reputation. It's an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? So
Mm-mm, mm-hmm.
people are gonna flock, and you are expecting people to flock because you're teasing a essentially a culmination of everything that's been going on in the live action comic book medium for the past 20 plus years, bringing it all together and then kind of reset. It says you have everything at home now. You know, Disney and Marvel has everything, all with the exception of Hulk. You have every and Spider-Man, because they still have that deal with Sony. You have everybody within your sandbox now. That wasn't you're not really as limited as you were before, where you kind of, when the MCU first started, you couldn't use those characters that you use. You couldn't use the X-Men. You couldn't use the Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? You couldn't really use Blade and bring him in here. You know, a lot of those characters, Daredevil for that matter, it was just not even less than 10 years ago that we just got Daredevil back in the MCU. So it's like I think it's a success whether they hit 2 billion or not.
Let me ask you this: why do this in China and not here in the U.S.? I would suspect that
Yeah, yeah.
they're
Let me know your
trying
thoughts
to.
on that. Hmm.
I would suspect that they need that box office over there in China.
Absolutely. That's what I was gonna hint at. They absolutely need that international box office for sure. As much as people may overlook it, that China box office does numbers for Disney and Marvel. Absolutely. And it's
And let
one
me
of their
get your
biggest
take.
markets.
Yes, yes. And let me get your take on this. Given the fact that the Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four were good movies, they were good MCU movies. I enjoyed both of them.
Absolutely.
I
Hmm.
definitely enjoyed Fantastic Four. And the box office not being what it was, is there a little bit of MCU fatigue? Not superhero fatigue, but MCU fatigue.
MCU fatigue. I don't know. I personally don't feel it, and I don't personally see much people. I don't see that reflected on people so much because people are still going to see these movies. You know what I
But the
mean?
box
Like
office says tells a tale.
I know it does, but I don't think there's much of a fatigue there because people. Granted, what was it? What was Thunderbolt's final box office, like under 500 million or something like that? I think Fantastic Four was under 600 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's a decent amount of people, man. That's a lot of money. If I would say if they each made 200 million tops, I now we can say there's some sort of Marvel fatigue to some degree. You know what I mean? And if there it really is some sort of Marvel fatigue, you know, I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine would have made $1 billion. Spider-Man No Way Home would have made $1 billion. I think what it really boils down to is if you're not catching the interest of people with these trailers, and I think also what lends into that is that we live in an age where we know way too much of the ins and outs of these movie productions. We're talking about months up to a year before they release in theaters. And believe it or not, nowadays that influences whether people see the movie or not. Like Captain America, for example. We've known how the movie was delayed like a year plus. It went through like four rewrites. It went through 6 months of reshoots. And even then, while they were doing those reshoots, they were still changing script, they were still changing characters, working in new ideas, taking out old ones. And we knew all that. We knew all that. So that turns people off, believe it or not. Because like what you were the villains of Brave New World was not Sidewinder. It was the Serpent Society. And then you
Yes.
completely remove the Serpent Society as a whole, and then you just put one character, and that one character is not really doing much. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's helping the leader. You got the leader in there now, which is a Hulk villain. He's also fighting Red Hulk. So essentially, Captain America Brave New World wasn't a Captain America movie. It was a Hulk. It was an Incredible Hulk sequel with Captain America as his lead. So that's one thing that turns people off because you're not really believing in your star in your new Captain America. So people are gonna be like, yeah, no, I can do without. Because if you don't stand behind your own product, nobody else is gonna stand behind that product either. And I feel like that was reflected in the box office for that movie specifically.
Yeah. So, what were some other things? I mean, I think we're definitely going to be getting the callbacks to the comics with Doom ripping out Thanos' spine. Uh, it was obviously definitely Doom heavy.
Yeah, it was Doom-centric. We got him. It looked like he may have had some sort of the time stone. I'm not sure. At least that's what it looked like. Not sure if that's what it is. It looked like he was kind of ripping through the fabric of Loki's realm and things like that. So
Yes.
I'm sure Loki is gonna catch some smoke once again in this movie, which is unfortunate for Loki because he went through this whole redemption arc and became the god of stories to kind of meet his same fate to some degree that
His
he met with
glorious
Thanos.
purpose.
His glorious purpose, exactly. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Like he's definitely there's a lot of Tony Stark influence. I feel within this version of Doom with the technology, and that's not taken away from how smart and inventive Victor Von Doom is. We know he's a great thinker. He's super intelligent. He's a great scientist and things of that nature. But there's a lot of Tony
And
Stark
magician,
influences
yes.
here. Mm-hmm. Yep, and a
Here's the
sorcerer.
thing. I think for me, personally, if Doom has those Stark tendency and Stark behavior, it would bother me because there is this possibility of having those mannerism would only be a thing that he uses to trick. Um, it'll be part of his plan,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's fine.
I think it really boils down to being able to separate the two characters. Yeah, he may look like Tony Stark, but don't make him Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, and I think that's the issue. That is something that will either make or break the movie. Like a lot of people have been very vocal
Will it make
online
it break it for
about.
you though?
I feel like for me, it all depends on how much. It all depends on how much. I know you bringing back Robert Downey Jr., so there is going to be some semblance of Tony Stark, something within this version of Victor Von Doom. I can overlook it, but once again, it depends on how they do it. Now, if it's too much Tony Stark just masquerading as Doctor Doom just because, that may be an issue. Or if Victor Von Doom is a variant of Tony Stark to some degree, like if they kind of go back on that on confirming that that is not Victor Von Doom is actually a variant of Tony Stark. So I don't know. It really depends on how they kind of flesh that out and what they do. Because again, he's gonna have a lot of influence from Tony Stark. Once again, his whole thing, same task, new mask. His motives are already clear. He has the same motives as Tony Stark did early on in the MCU, which is put a suit of armor around the world. We Doom does have a massive army, so you can kind of put two and two together there. He may use the fact that he looks like Tony Stark, like we mentioned, to kind of influence certain things and kind of get people to bend to his will, whatever the case may be. It all really depends on how they do it. The only concerning part for me with that is like the script is not fully finished. This is something that Kevin Feige confirmed, I will say like a month or two ago in that interview with in that press conference that he had with the press. And I just want to see how they flesh out his motivations beyond that whole suit of armor around the multiverse, essentially. Like what is really driving you here? What incursion happened, or which Avenger, which hero within the MCU kind of essentially ruined your life to the point where you need to kind of reset everything, and then you got to kill these heroes all at the same time. You know what I mean? Because if some of these people, they're gonna look at you because you look like Tony Stark. They're gonna look at you as a friend to some degree. You know what I mean? So I don't know, and it's weird. I don't know how they're gonna how they're gonna play with it, especially with the light show. One of them in one of the frames, it looks like he's kind of holding a gauntlet to some degree. You know what I mean? Like it's not lit up like the Infinity Gauntlet, but it does look a little bulkier than his other arm, which is the same arm Tony Stark had the gauntlet in at the end of
Mm.
Endgame when he snapped Thanos away. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know how they're gonna play with that. But
There's
but it wouldn't really
definitely
break the movie for me. I think it may break to a lot. It may break it to a lot of people, especially the general audience. Because again, a lot of
the
people have
general
been very
audience.
vocal.
Yes, the
A lot of
general
people have been very
audience
vocal
will
about it.
probably be a bit confused. I mean, that second weekend will be telling. The first
Hmm.
weekend, the curiosity
No, the first weekend, you can
be
guarantee
huge.
people will flock. People will
Yes,
flock.
yes,
They just again, the curiosity. I wanna see how
yes.
this movie turns out. You
Yes,
know what I
and
mean?
how and going back to your, how this all starts, I think it all starts with Captain America and his choice to stay back and live with
I think
Carter.
so, and I feel like, that's been a rumor online for quite some time now that he's gonna go around and he's gonna start taking out people who caused incursions. Now, I wasn't believing that at first until I will say like maybe a couple weeks ago, we got that report of Channing Tatum, him filming Endgame, injuring his leg as and then he teases a massive fight with Doctor Doom. So I was like, oh shit. No, he's really going after people who caused incursions. Because if we really think about it, at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, he never made it out of the void. So you made it out of the void somewhere. We got that deleted scene where you kind of see the sling ring
Ring
circle in
in
his
the reflection
eyes.
of his eye, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So somebody took you out, right? Had to be Deadpool. So somebody took you out. Somebody has a sling ring. They opened up the portal. They took you out. So that definitely caused some sort of incursion because you were sent to the void to die, as they mentioned in that movie. Everything that gets sent to the void is there to die. You're not going to exist anymore once you get eaten by Alec, whatever the creature is, his name is. I'm forgetting at the moment.
Goliath,
Alioth. There you
I
go.
believe
Thank
is
you. Thank you. Alioth. Yes. But yeah, I think that cemented my, or at least confirmed that Doom is going to go after people who caused incursions for sure. So that definitely has to be Wanda to some degree. You know what I mean? That kind of confirms that she's going to come back, even though they haven't officially confirmed that she was going to come back, even though early reports from this year said she was coming back. Chris Evans, we've seen him recently with that picture that's kind of floating around the internet, looking clean shaven, looking
He's back in
buff.
shape.
He's back in shape. Granted, he's always been someone who's always been in shape, but I get why people are like, he looks a little bigger than he's been the past year or so. So I can see why people are kind of theorizing that. But
Do
again,
you
old
think
man Steve
Black Widow comes
Rogers,
back?
I can see a version if they bring her
Scarlett
back, Black
Johansson.
Widow. If they
Be
bring
more
back
specific.
ScarJo, yeah, if they bring back ScarJo, she will have to be a Black Widow from another universe. It
Yes.
cannot be the main Black Widow because we know she died. She died at the end of
I predict that being a huge pop if she shows up on screen.
and you will have to keep that under wraps. You know what I mean? Like you gotta keep those surprises under wrap. And I think that's what takes a lot of the mystique away from a lot of these films nowadays. Is that again we know too much. We know way too much
And I
about these
think
movies now.
they've done a good job because we can speculate all we want. And is again, given the history that the Russo brothers have with the IP, that they're going to be taking situations that they've already done in the Marvel universe and create their storyline that makes sense. That's the hope. I
Mm-hmm.
hope this is not a circus. I hope this is not just a cameo fest that doesn't go anywhere and uh,
Yeah.
and that isn't impactful as what we got with Infinity War and Endgame. Given the fact that Infinity War and Endgame, you had 10 years worth of stuff before we got to it that sort of
Mm-hmm.
like it was just an explosion of emotion. This
Right.
one here doesn't have that buildup. And
Exactly, and
so
that's something I also mentioned before too. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
the difficulty in pulling this feat off of success is quite high, but nonetheless the curiosity I think is on that level. I think the excitement that we had leading up to Infinity War and Endgame has been replaced with curiosity.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of excitement, although it's perhaps maybe building. There's some excitement, but not to the extent that Infinity War and Endgame gave us. I would say that.
Yeah,
Would you agree
I
with
don't
something like
think.
that?
Yeah, I agree because that's I mentioned that in our review of the Fantastic Four. There's been no build up to Doctor Doom to any degree. That's why to me the post credit stinger or whatever the mid credit scene of Doctor Doom showing up at the Baxter Building in Fantastic Four did nothing for me. It holds no weight, unfortunately,
I always
because
ask people this:
go ahead.
if it would have been a fly and Mr. Fantastic swatted it, looked at it, and is a machine, would that have given you some excitement? Because that's Doom stuff.
I feel like something like that. I just feel like whatever we got, it just doesn't work for me because he's there in his tunic in the living room. He's talking to Franklin. Franklin is touching his face. What is that giving me? You're not giving me much. You didn't show me his face. His mask is not even the one that we saw in the light show. You know what I mean? Like the light show, he's way more comic book accurate. Yeah, he has his tunic, but the mask itself, it looks very like it's welded the way it's welded in the comic books. So that scene just does nothing for me. There's no interaction between there's no spoken word between him and Franklin. There's just a reaction from Sue, and then that's it. We don't get much else. Can we get some sort of dialogue? I feel like if we would have gotten a scene, a full scene, the way we got in Thunderbolts, where we got them at the Avengers building as the new Avengers in their new headquarters with all of their new outfits, looking at their computers and seeing that the Fantastic Four is coming in. I feel like that gives a lot more and gets you a lot of it's like it builds more curiosity. It's like, oh shit, where's the Fantastic Four coming from? What is the space crisis that's going on? You know, there's a lot more questions and kind of it piques your interest a little bit, gives you some sort of intrigue. But this stinger for Fantastic Four does none of that. Giving me an empty seat at the console, showing that Latveria is not with dropping all of their arms and whatever and their weapons. Sure, all you're confirming that Latveria exists in that universe, but where is Victor Von Doom? That Victor Von Doom is heavily tied into the origins of the Fantastic Four. Where was he this entire time? You know what I mean? It just doesn't do anything for me.
There is such a huge connection between Reed and Doom.
There is. You just can't have one without the other. That's the thing. They're
And
like Batman and Joker.
yeah, and one of
They're
the
like Batman and
things,
Joker.
yes, definitely. And one of the things, and this was I think from a comic book panel where Reed Richards is like one of the things that keep Reed Richards up at night is Doom,
Absolutely.
right? And it's cool for them to show Latveria, or the existence
But yeah,
of
the existence.
Latveria.
It's just a reference. We didn't even get to see it.
Yes, was cool, but is not enough for us to get us excited for Doom. I think that is where the mishap has happened, or
Mhm.
the oversight has happened with the MCU in their introduction of Doom. This light show, I think the purpose of it obviously is to prepare us for his coming, his, I guess, motivations as well.
It's also to get fans a little excited because I know the Russos made a post this past week. Now we got this light show. With the light show came some leaked promo art that kind of gives us a full look at Victor Von Doom and Doomsday, which is fairly comic book accurate. But I think we're gonna. This is all leading up to a teaser of some sort. We may just get a teaser trailer in the coming months, um, or at the beginning of the year. But I feel like they're starting to get us excited for some sort of footage that they may want to show. Now we don't have any big conventions that's coming up. New York Comic Con is the real next big convention, but they don't usually announce anything like that. At least major Hollywood announcements at New York Comic Con. So I'm not expecting anything there. Even though you're gonna have some MCU characters, some actors from the MCU there, but that's all like on the television side. I feel like New York Comic Con is more television oriented compared to San Diego Comic Con. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like people won't fully rally behind this movie until they get some sort of footage. And then that first teaser and that first official trailer has to bring that sort of level of excitement that the first teaser for Infinity War and the first teaser for Endgame brought. And yeah, I get we don't have like the build up, and I know we both mentioned this you here and in our respective shows, but it is to some degree a culmination of the past almost 30 years of Marvel live action comic book movie history. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's not all this build up, but I feel like there is some sort of combination. Bringing all these different universes together, bringing them all home for this one big hoorah, and then reboot the MCU after Secret Wars. I think is a nice fitting end for it, because like now you essentially can kind of do the MCU the way after Secret Wars with the reboot. You can kind of do it the way maybe you were intending to do before you got all these characters together. You know what I mean? So like the first movie essentially after the reboot will be the X-Men. And the future of the MCU will be X-Men heavy. So I feel like you can do a lot more that you were not able to do with this
Yes.
first iteration of the MCU, which is great. They had a good run with the first one, and they accomplished some amazing things with it. Unprecedented things that they accomplished in Hollywood with the MCU. But that's something I was thinking about and theorizing and wanted to talk about on our show, which I will once we record again. Since we're on the topic anyway, I
Yeah,
figured
yeah, yeah.
I might lend a little theories to it, but I don't think people will be excited until they get official images and some teasers, like some actual footage for it. As of right now, it's just a lot of like, what if, what, a lot of
A lot of
theorizing,
speculation. Yes,
a
yes,
lot of
yes.
speculation, like, and Marvel's okay with that. Kevin Feige has been on record and said that they're okay with people theorizing. Some stuff is true, some stuff is not, but as long as they're talking, they're talking. Good, any press is good press at the end of the day.
Yes. What does that teaser have to do? Because what I've there has been some
Mhm.
uh presentations where they have, I think something that they did previously and they're doing it again here, is that they've had you hear a voices of characters saying specific lines from previous movies. I'll say this right now, that doesn't cut it. What does
No,
the
I don't
teaser?
think I don't think you can do that again because they did that
Yes.
for Infinity War for the first teaser we got for Infinity War, and then they did it again for the first teaser that we got for Endgame. And now the Endgame teaser was very Tony Stark centric. It was very heavy on Tony Stark's voiceover. Infinity Wars was very heavy on the Nick Fury voiceover. I feel like this first teaser, it has to be very Doom centric. Yeah, you can show off some of the other characters and maybe have some lines of dialogue, but you have to show that Doom is here. Doom is here. He's not messing around, and he's here to destroy some shit. And maybe not give everything away in that first teaser, and then expand on it on the official trailer like they tend to do. But you have to show it has to be very Doom centric. It cannot be using voiceovers from previous movies or, you could use some footage from previous movies, but you kind of have to show Doctor Doom reacting to that. You got to show that he's a threat, that he's here to really make a change and change the landscape of the MCU as a whole. Like you have to do some sort of building up to him at this point.
Yes. Yes. There is a lot of expectation here,
Mhm.
especially for that first teaser. It can't show up as like I can't after seeing it, I can't be like I can't, I gotta be like, I can't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got to be like speechless. Like I remember how I felt when I saw the first Infinity War trailer and the first Endgame trailer. It damn near broke the internet, and that's what people were talking about all week. People stopped posting news, like these outlets were stopped. They really didn't post much because that's all that consumed that entire week. So I think this first season needs to have that same effect. It needs to be very Doom heavy because this is his movie at the end of the day.
Yes,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes,
It is
yes,
it
yes.
is Doctor Doom's movie. Yeah, it's under the banner of the Avengers, but it is a Doctor Doom movie. So it needs to be very centric. Essentially, what you need, you kind of need once you get like you kind of have to do what you did with Thanos at some point, like with the trailers. You got to show that this he is a force to be reckoned with. He is here to destroy some things, and he's there to claim what's his and to make sure he does whatever it takes to get to his end goal, which is at this point creating battle world, taking out whoever causes incursions and things like that. So you gotta show some sort of like action. You gotta see him fighting somebody. Doesn't have to be
In the
everybody,
teaser?
but yeah, absolutely. You gotta show him beating somebody up. You have to. Have to. There's only so much dialogue you can show.
But it's a teaser.
It is a teaser, but they usually with these big Avenger movies, they do give us 2 to 3 minute teasers. So it's like, are you gonna have him talking the whole time? Like, no, I don't think so.
I would assume
And
that
and ag- and again, going back to the whole, sorry to cut you off. Going
no,
back to the
sorry.
whole voiceover thing, there's not much Doom interaction within the MCU to kind of give us that. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't really been around.
I would assume that we'll be seeing montages
Uh-huh.
of previous stuff, which is it's whatever.
Right.
But yes, it has to be Doom centric. Do we get a full glimpse of him? I don't know.
I feel like
But
we should. I feel like we should.
if we see to show him.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be his face, at least
Okay.
without the mask, but show him fully. Yeah, absolutely. Show him
How do you feel
with his
about that though?
tunic, with his mask, for sure. Show him.
How do you feel about if Doom is without his mask for most of the movie?
I wouldn't be okay with that. I have a very big gripe with comic book movies and TV shows, especially if there's a masked hero, or villain, whatever the case
I'm done with
whatever the
Spider-Man taking off his mask, yo. I'm
I
done with
am
it.
I'm sick and tired of seeing like, I don't wanna see Tom Holland's face anymore. Keep him in the mask the whole movie. I was
And
sick
when
and tired of
He's
seeing.
Peter.
Yeah, exactly. Give me that duality, you know what I mean? Because even in the comics, yeah, he takes off his mask, but it's not all the goddamn time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
when he
yeah,
needs
yeah.
to be Peter, like, let him be Peter. When he needs to be Spider-Man, let him be Spider-Man. Like, they need to Hollywood as a whole needs to get rid of the notion that you have to show these actors' face at all times. You know what I mean? Because
RDJ, he's gonna want to show his face. I mean,
I
and for
f-
this
I
movie,
feel and I feel
if
it's
he's gonna pull
okay.
off what he wants in terms
He
of
needs to.
tricking people into believing that he is, um, you know, Tony Stark or a variant of Tony Stark, and get people to
Mhm.
trust him and to get them to do what he wants them to do, if that is even the case. But if he's shows up that, nah, I'm Victor Von Doom, and but I look like Tony Stark or whatever the case may be, I don't know how people are gonna take that. I think if we only get to see Doom sparingly, and he's taking off his mask so that we can see him talk and act,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know, man. I'm really not for. I'm kind of over seeing these heroes without their masks all the time. Cause that's the point of it. You know what
So
I mean? Like,
so let me ask you this: do you think, regardless of what we get with Doom, you think is going to be a box office? Do you believe it's going to be a box office success if, let's say, the reviews don't come in as they would hope, or we would hope for? Do
I
you
still
see a
think so.
path? Do you see a
Hmm.
path of not getting to the success that they would want?
No, I can see them getting to the success they want. Absolutely. And again, people are gonna flock regardless. Yeah, maybe whether that be word of mouth, whether that be just curiosity or interest, just to see. A lot of people are fans of RDJ. A lot of people do like Tony Stark. A lot of people are fans of the Russo brothers. You know what I mean? So again, it is an Avengers title. You're guaranteed something epic to some degree, whether the story, because let's be honest, the Avengers Endgame story itself is not all that great, to be completely honest with you. It's very, I will say, mid, kind of like what people call it, very mid. But what you get throughout in the viewing experience and then the culmination of what came before is what makes it such a great movie going experience, especially with a lot of the payoffs, like the Captain America picking up, Thor's hammer. That was something that was teased way before, early on in the beginning of Avengers Age of Ultron, to then finally get that in Endgame, to finally get him, saying Avengers Assemble, using all those, Thor, the lightning and all that, things like that. Like, I feel that is what makes Endgame such an enjoyable movie theater experience. Now, Infinity War is the much better movie, you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, that's the much better movie.
I
But I
gotta
feel like
ask you.
you gotta deliver something like that, even though we don't have a lot to kind of pay off here in terms of Doctor Doom himself and some of these characters. And there's a lot of, and I think that's something that the MCU kind of has to work on, or at least I hope they learn from once they reboot the universe. There's a lot of storylines right now, a lot of character plot threads that are just like were left in the open, never resolved. And you honestly may not even resolve them so much in this movie. We have never gotten a Shang-Chi 2. The 10 rings apparently had a beacon in it. Who was it sending a signal out to? We don't know.
We may not even
We don't
get
we
that.
we might not even get that. We cap the Marvels. It tried to expand a lot more things and connect it to the X-Men universe from the 2000s. Not much has been expanded on ever since that. Moon Knight, no season 2. Wolf by Night, they've done nothing with that. Granted that the special was amazing, but they've done nothing with that. There's just so many character threads and story arcs that they haven't really like fully fleshed out or brought to a close. And my only concern is that they may try to rush that in these next two Avenger movies before the
Think so.
reset, but we'll just have to see how it plays out essentially.
Before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you. I always have to ask people, what's the number one MCU movie for you?
For me, I will have to say, at least my personal favorite, my all-time favorite MCU movie is The Winter Soldier. That's one of my top, if not my top MCU movie.
That is
the
the
Winter
number
Soldier.
one.
That movie from start to finish
Yes.
is like is immaculate. It's like it's
Yes.
very well made. The action is great. The direction is great. The script is really tight. The dialogue is tight. The suspense is there. It's a political thriller, man. Like Marvel needs to really lean into those. And again, it really to me what really made that movie stand out to me is that it really dives into the Ed Brubaker writing style from the comics. Like anyone who's read any of Ed Brubaker's Captain America, Winter Soldier runs in the comic books, if you have not, please go do so. You're missing out on some great political thrilling writing in comic book form. And honestly, I feel like that movie encapsulates that, and that's what makes it so good to me, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I
that's my
agree
number one movie.
100%.
I have like a top 3. I would probably throw Infinity War up there. There's a lot of MCU movies, man. I've been meaning to do a ranking myself for a while, but just haven't gone around to it, man. There's just a lot of good movies. There's a lot of mid movies too, and a lot of movies that you can dismiss. One movie I do like that's MCU that a lot of people overlook is The Incredible Hulk. The
I love
Incredible
them.
Hulk, people,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the hell out of that movie, man. I know a lot of people don't give it a lot of praise and say it's a bad
Which is
movie,
crazy to
but
me. When you put it in, when you do a comparison between the Hulk movies that we've gotten, which haven't been many, but as far as the Incredible Hulk, that is the most accurate one that we've gotten.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know, outside of everything else.
More so than the Eric Bana one that we got in like what
It's in
2003, I
three.
think it was.
Yes.
2003 is like I remember watching that one as a kid, and I'm like, okay, I see the Hulk and I see what they're going for, but
But
I don't
yeah.
feel like this is really nailing down the Hulk that I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Incredible Hulk came out 5 years later, and I'm like, oh shit, I think they got it here.
He took his bone out and stabbed. That's savagery. That's savagery. That's Incredible Hulk stuff.
That was great.
But yes, this has been a collaboration between the Nerd Gen Report and the Nerdy Basement. Please, when you get a chance, I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to go check out their channel. But hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of these offshoots and collaborations.
For sure.
To get other people's thoughts outside of my own and Brian's, because we have our own thoughts on things. Hopefully we can all get together and have a conversation on the bigger stuff that happens as well. But again, this has been a collaboration between the Nerdy Basement and the Nerd Gen Report. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe. It's real, and I was just thinking about it, like, you know, we got on the show to talk about the Doom stuff, but it's real easy to veer off and talk about.
And this is why I love doing episodes like this, whether it be on our show or somebody else's show, because there's so much that you can dive into when it comes to these topics, man. Like
yes.
Just Doom alone sparked a whole overlook of what the MCU has been doing, not doing, how it ties here. It's just I just
and what are the expectations, man? Because Doom is a big deal, man. Doom is a Thanos level situation in terms of villainy, you know?
Yep.
And for Reed Richards to not be able to sleep at night because of him is not something that you overlook, which they did in the movie, which is one of the problems that I had with it. But yeah, remember to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report. Thank you again, Ozzy, for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.